Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert. My name is Walter Gendell, and I am thrilled and honored to be your worship associate this beautiful Sunday morning. I am so glad to see you all, whether you are here in the sanctuary or listening online. I'm also delighted to be up here on the podium this morning with my husband, Jack. The only challenge I will have is not to refer to him as my honey. Before we begin, though, please take a moment to silence your cell phones and any other devices you may have. Thank you. As we begin our service, let us first acknowledge that we gather today on the ancestral and unceded territories of the Aqua Caliente Band of Cahuilla people, who have stewarded this land, this earth, throughout generations, and that we recognize the ongoing effects of colonization and displacement and acknowledge the historical and contemporary injustices faced by indigenous communities. We are grateful for the opportunity to live and work on these lands and commit to building respectful relationships with the Aqua Caliente Band of Cahuilla people. We are committed to learning more about their history, culture, and ongoing struggles, and taking action that supports indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. But as you know, a land acknowledgement is not only honoring those that cared for our land before our arrival, but also respecting, even loving our earth. Real change will happen only when we fall in love with our planet. Only love can show us how to live in harmony with nature and with each other. When we recognize the virtues and talents of the earth, we feel connected to her, and love is born in our hearts. We want to be connected. That is the meaning of love, to be at one. When you love someone, you want to take care of that person as you would take care of yourself. When we love like this, it's reciprocal. We will do anything for the benefit of the earth, and we can trust that she, in turn, will do everything in her power for our well-being. And just as we strive to nurture our land, this earth, we also strive to nurture each other and to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person in this congregation. And what that means to all of you is that all of you are welcome. It really doesn't matter what your sexual orientation or gender identity is, how old you are, whether you are petite or large, you are financially well off or not, or how you choose to vote or your engagement in civic activity. And particularly now, particularly today, it really doesn't matter to us your immigration status, what country you are from, your race or religion or culture. And it really doesn't matter how you choose to express your spiritual self or who you choose to love. What matters is that you are here with us today. All are welcome, whether you are steady and composed, or you feel completely lost, or you don't know what you are feeling. This community has a place for you. Here you matter, and here you are loved. So come and learn and grow with us as we commit together to embrace the rich and beautiful diversity of the world. I invite all of you to help build a community centered in justice, in compassion, and in particular, in love. We are very grateful for your presence. As part of our welcoming everyone into our community, we'd now like to take a moment to greet newcomers and visitors. If you are here for the first time or a visitor, Roberto will come to you with a mic. At this time, please just tell us your name and where you are from. We look forward to getting to know you better at our coffee hour after service today. I'll start on this side. Anyone new, newcomers? All right, this side right here. I think we have a bunch of old timers today. This side, up. There you go.
Good morning. My name is Patton White, and I'm visiting from Atlanta, Georgia.
And I am Nancy White, also from Atlanta, Georgia.
Thank you. Welcome. Anybody else on this side? And how about here?
Hi, I am Rachel Hardy, and I am visiting from Madisonville, Kentucky.
And I'm Zach Hardy, and I am also from Madisonville, Kentucky.
All right, welcome. Anybody else? Miss anybody? Great. Well, thank you. And all of you, welcome. Welcome. And please join us for coffee after our service. So one of the ways we covenant with each other to both welcome everyone into our community and celebrate the worthiness of all people is to participate in a candle lighting ceremony in support of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, or BIPOC. I would like to invite Jane up to join us as we light our BIPOC candles and say the words on the screen. We light these candles in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and other people of color as we journey together toward spiritual wholeness. May we, as a beloved community, work to dismantle racism and all forms of oppression. May we live at our principles that justice, dignity, and equity for all prevail. Thanks, Jane. So now, let's take a deep breath as we calm our minds and our bodies. While Jack rings the Tibetan bowl, and we listen to the wonderful Joel Baker play our music for centering to start the service.
Our opening words, excuse me. Ironic that I'm talking about pollination today, and the pollen count is off the charts, so I apologize for coughing in your face. Our opening words are from a poem by Carl Adam Schick. It's called Work Dream. If my job were pollination, I'd punch in early. If my job were to walk on soft petals and bump the stamen of its fine gold flower, if my job were to fly in midday on my own wings and leave a trail of sun dust, if this were my job, I'd take no money. I'd give my time. If this were my job, I'd come home to the honeycomb singing. So this morning, let's sing and worship together. Please sing standing or seated as you are able. Hymn number 21, For the Beauty of the Earth. The words are on the screen.
To
So wonderful to hear all of you singing. It sounds wonderful up here. So one of our most sacred rituals is the lighting of our chalice. For us, it signifies the creation of a sacred space where we gather together in community. So as Jack lights our chalice, let's speak the words on the screens above. We light this chalice to honor the seeds of hope we plant in one another, the beauty we tend in community, and the earth that holds us in sacred trust. May we be good stewards of that trust, both in endless days of light and in bottomless days of darkness. Thank you. So this morning I have two readings. The first is a poem by Emily Dickinson entitled The Pedigree of Honey. The pedigree of honey does not concern the bee, nor lineage of ecstasy delay the butterfly. On spangled journeys to the peak of some perceiveless thing, the right of way to Tripoli, a more essential thing. The pedigree of honey does not concern the bee. A clover, any time, to him is aristocracy. The second is from Lisa Bellamy called The Wild Pansy. As a seed, I was shot out the back end of a blue jay when, heedless, she flew over the meadow. She had swallowed me in my homeland when she spied me lying easy under the sun. Briefly, I called her mother before I passed through her gullet like a ghost. In a blink of God's eye, I was an orphan. I trembled while I fell, alone in the dirt. That first night was a long night, early May and chilly, and I remember rain filled my furrow. I called out for mercy, only a wolverine wandered by. I cursed my luck. I cursed the happenstance of this world. I smelled his hot stink, but he nosed me deep into the mud. This was the gift of obscurity. I germinated, hidden from the giants of earth, the jostling stalks, the various boisterous bloomers, and this was my salvation. After 7 days and nights, I pushed through. Yes, here I am, kissable, your tiny purple profusion. As we have been alluding to this morning, just like in nature, our church needs to be nourished and cared for so it will continue to grow and thrive. So, as the ushers come around for the offertory, and we think about our sacred church and the bounty it provides all of us, please give as generously as you can so we can continue to care for our wonderful church for generations to come. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your generosity and for all the other gifts and loves you bring to this community, our beloved community. And as a community, we come together in many ways to help celebrate the good things in our lives, but also to support and provide comfort to those dealing with difficult issues or struggles. These joys and sorrows help strengthen the bonds we have with each other and ensure all our friends receive the love and support this community can provide. So here are the joys and sorrows for today, June 8th, that were shared with us from members of our beloved community. And there is definitely a theme in today's joys and sorrows. From Linda, a candle of peace for our county, country, and especially for California. Shock and sadness to have troops deployed to stop protests. Pray for our country. A candle of love for our community, sisters and brothers, the workers who hold our world together. From Ginger. And this one, fly free, Gizmo and Sunny. Such a joy to watch you grow and fledge. Kind of reminds me of the seed. These joys and sorrows are ones that people shared with us, asking for our support, love, and comfort, or to be joyful along with them. But we also know there are those out there not ready to share, who may not be comfortable yet. Even so, let's hold them in our hearts and silently provide comfort for them. And with that in mind, Jack will now lead us in prayer and meditation.
I offer this poem by Thich Nhat Hanh. Death comes with his impressive scythe and says, "You should be afraid of me." I look up and I ask, "Why should I be afraid of you?" "Because I will make you dead. I will make you non-existent." "How can you make me non-existent?" Death does not answer. He swings his impressive scythe. I say, "I come, and I go. Then I come again, and I go again. I will always come back. You can neither make me exist nor non-exist." "How do you know you will come again?" Death asks. "I know because I have done that countless times," I say. "How do I know you're telling the truth?" "Who can be witness?" says Death. He frowns. I touch the earth and say, "Earth is my witness. She is my mother." Suddenly, Death hears the music. Suddenly, Death hears the birds singing from all directions. Suddenly, Death sees the trees blossoming. Earth makes herself apparent to Death and smiles lovingly to him. Death melts in the loving gaze of Earth. "Oh, my beloved, touch Earth every time you get scared. Touch her deeply, and your sorrows will melt away. Touch her deeply, and you will touch deathlessness." At this time, let's take a moment to breathe deeply and touch Mother Earth. Close your eyes if you're comfortable. Take a minute to breathe deeply and have your sorrows melt away. Take a moment to breathe deeply to go. Take a moment to breathe deeply and come back. Touch Mother Earth and breathe. And in this spirit of connection with Mother Earth, let's join our voices in our hymn for meditation, Spirit of Life and Fuente de Amor. The words are up on the screen. As Walter mentioned, my name is Jack Fitzsimmons, and I am a proud member of this congregation. My first encounter with the order of Hymenoptera was memorable. I had just turned 6, and I was playing Frisbee with my brother and his buddies. This was a great honor bestowed on me. Unfortunately, a sudden wind caught the plastic disc, and it crashed deep into the spirea bush in front of my parents' house. Being the youngest, I naturally was ordered to retrieve it. My hand went into the shrub and then came out fast and on fire. Attached to my palm were a dozen or so wasps. I had put my little hand on their very large nest of probably some of the nastier members of the order of Hymenoptera. Oh, we've got a wasp lover over there. Okay. My mother eventually calmed me down, plucked out the stingers, and gave me a Benadryl and an ice pack to reduce the swelling. Of course, my brother thought this whole thing was hilarious. Brothers. The next day, sensing my unease, my mom took me to a corner of her unruly flower garden, the one dedicated to native plant species. Next to a statue of St. Francis, a weather placard read, "A weed is but an unloved flower." She sat me down on her garden stool and told me to wait quietly. Really hard for a 6-year-old. After a moment, the bergamot and the bee balm, the goldenrod and the goat's rue and the sundew and the seed box were alive with bees, small and large. Carpenter bees, bumblebees, honeybees, sweat bees, and wasps. I held my breath as moths began to alight, followed by a single butterfly and then magically a ruby-throated hummingbird. My mother softly intoned the names of the plants and insects and pointed out what the bees were doing as we peered through a magnifying glass. That was the first time I heard the word pollination. When I asked what the word meant, she explained the mechanics of pollen transfer. At age 6, I was naturally a bit bewildered. It sounded a lot like sex to me. Seeing this, she smiled and paused, finally telling me that pollination was how bees prey. As a young Catholic kid, made total sense. In the decades since, I have come to realize what those weeds, those bees, and those hummingbirds meant to my mother. They were her community as much as her family, her neighbors, and her fellow parishioners in our small town Catholic parish. Even more so, they worked in unity and cooperation without the frictions and the fictions of the messy human world. She delighted in learning about and loving this tiny, infinite community in silent and mutual prayer. And now, as I approach my 7th decade, I have begun to seriously study pollinators. Like my mom, I love science and plants and insects. Just ask Walter over there. And I now see that pollinators provide a powerful metaphor and lesson about what community means and how it survives and adapts, even when under assault by little hands, not in Ohio this time, but in Washington, D.C. Here are some of my observations. First, interdependence is inescapable. There are an estimated 200,000 pollinator species, including bees, butterflies, bats, beetles, moths, and mosquitoes, mammals, and even some marine invertebrates. And these pollinators do not act in isolation. Their actions directly support the growth and reproduction of plants, which in turn shelter and feed countless others, including us. So profound is this interdependence that it is estimated that 75% to 85% of the world's flowering plants co-evolve with pollinators, with plants developing kind of attractive features to attract the pollinators, and pollinators developing evolved specialized structures for feeding on plants. This kind of evolution is called mutualism. In Washington, D.C., our current administration is doing its damnedest, and I use that word absolutely deliberately, to isolate and divide communities, to destroy interdependence, and create a monoculture of fear and distrust and hatred. And I don't think it's going to work in the long run, because I believe, and science certainly supports, that mutualism is a kind of biological hardwiring that permits species as varied as milkweeds and monkeys to survive and to thrive. The harder the power structure pushes its loveless and lifeless agenda, the more resistance is created. New and often surprising alliances of individuals and communities are flowering. Innumerable seeds of community are being planted, and like the weeds that grow in the smallest crack, in the most impenetrable concrete, these weeds will flower and be pollinated and reproduce. After all, life and love arcs towards reproduction. It's a biological fact. I cannot claim any deep understanding of how hive memory works in insects, but I do know that humans remember the past. We know from history that communities, once they are isolated, marginalized, and erased, the untrammeled exercise of ego and money means destruction for us all. We must nourish the DNA of our independence. This is a biological imperative. We must insist on deliberately remembering our past mistakes and our failings. And we must fertilize the creativity inherent in adaptation and mutualism. Doing so, I believe that we will outlast and outlive the current blight in our nation. Just as pollinators flit from flower to flower, members of a community bring care, ideas, and support from one space to another, cross-pollinating relationships, compassion, knowledge, and power. We must both be the flower and the pollinator in order to sustain life and resist oppression. My second observation is the invisibility of labor. Much of the work pollinators do is quiet, unrecognized, and often overlooked, yet entirely essential. Think about this morning's service. We have Linda as our organizer, who managed all the moving parts and completed the service script. We have the AV team, who maps out the sound, the camera angles, the images, and the subtitles. We have our copyright reviewer, Sue, who ensures that we can legally use the music and readings and that they appear correctly titled in the order of worship. We have the worship leader and worship associate who choose readings, write sermons, and select music. We have Joel Baker, our fabulous pianist who fills our sanctuary with such beautiful sound. We have the hospitality and greeting teams who ensure we are welcomed and well-fed. We have the amazing Pam Bebo, who prints the order of worship and details the upcoming services in our newsletters. We have the folks who bring food and flowers, who set up and break down tables, who wash dishes, and a myriad of other tasks. And this mutualism, this interdependence is repeated again and again in our community. This, as you will hear in our last song, is how we make our garden grow. And as you can see from this example, no single pollinator is most important. The community or the biosystem collapses without each niche role being fulfilled. Communities flourish not from grand gestures, but from consistent, often invisible acts of care and connection, exactly like the daily work of the bees in my mother's garden. Diversity strengthens the system. Different pollinators serve different flowers, while some pollinators, like honeybees, are generalists, serving a wide variety of flowering plants. This biodiversity ensures resilient ecosystems that can withstand disturbances like storms and droughts and human activities, yet still maintain their structure and their function. Biodiversity plays a crucial role in this by providing a wider range of species with diverse adaptations. Take, for instance, our local Sonora and Colorado desert habitat. Did you know that our desert is home to an astonishing 750 to 1,000 species of bees? Yeah, pretty amazing since there are only 1,600 bee species in the entire state of California. And even more remarkable for a science geek like me is that there are only approximately 4,000 plant species in that same geographic area. Now think about it, 1,000 species of bees to 4,000 species of plants. That is strength and diversity. Communities can only truly thrive when lots and lots of diverse individuals contribute their unique gifts, perspectives, and strengths. I think it's no rocket science that there is a very good reason that the government is seeking to dismantle DEI as an idea, as a practice, as a law. They are terrified of the power of diversity. I would say they are scared, similar to Walter's example. The more singular, the more ideological, and the more rigid the power system becomes, the more vulnerable it will be in its inflexibility and its inability to adapt. We see this lesson in nature all the time. Reliance on a single food species, such as the potato, led to the Irish potato famine and my great-grandparents' migration. Monoculture of grapes led to the phylloxera ecological disaster that decimated 19th century Europe. The Harz forest region in Germany became dominated by spruce trees after widespread deforestation and replanting efforts. This spruce monoculture has been unable to withstand recent climate change, and now we have forest fires in one of the wettest countries in Europe. In human terms, we know that homogeneous groups stagnate. Diverse communities in race, in gender, ability, and thought drive innovation and adaptability. However, true diversity means valuing difference, not just tolerating it. And the question and challenge is, who is missing from this ecosystem? Whose absence weakens us? What flower must we be to be the species, to attract the species not known or not yet seen? How do we grow in ability and adaptation and acceptance? A flower that blooms too deep for a bee's reach is functionally inaccessible. So Mother Nature responds by having tailored supports. For example, hummingbees develop a long beak for tubular flowers. Equality gives everybody the same tools, but equity removes the barriers. Who in our community is straining to reach the nectar? What structures need redesign? And it sounds like a bumper sticker, and I mean no disrespect, but every pollinator matters. Butterflies, bats, and beetles each play a role. And in the community, human community, frontline disruptors, which we're seeing a lot of, storytellers, the journalists who are covering this event, caregivers and donors are all essential, so there should be no hierarchy, only an ecosystem. Ethical community activism roots itself with care, prioritizing long-term community health over short-term wins or knee-jerk emotional responses. Pollinators have had thousands of years to adapt and evolve. We do not have that luxury. We need to actively engage and build strong and diverse communities now. My last observation is adaptability and resilience. Pollinators must adapt to seasons, climate, and habitat. Unfortunately, it is a tragic fact that pollinators are losing this battle and have in the last 20 years, there has been a catastrophic decline in the number of pollinators. Much of the decline is a direct result of human behavior. habitat destruction, land management practices, human-induced climate change, and wanton use of pesticides. The magnitude of this disaster cannot be overstated. Pollinators are crucial for the global food system, as approximately 75% of food crops rely on pollinators, including a large share of nutrient-dense crops. In fact, 1 out of every 3 bites of food you take depend on pollinators. The hopeful news is that communities and individuals around the world are responding to this calamity, whether it is in small efforts like our own Sacred Grounds to national and international efforts to modify agricultural practices, to preserve open spaces, to green our cities, to plant native species and educate the public. That same insight and adaptability to fight species extinction is being used to combat the assault on the civic fabric of our cities, our nations, and our world. In both instances, trust, equity, sustainability, and hard work are the habitat we must safeguard. In conclusion, we would be well advised to study and emulate pollinators and their systems, to take their lessons of community and mutualism to heart. Pollinators are, after all, the little engines that move our world. Please rise as you are able to sing our closing hymn. Morning has broken. The words are on the screen.
Thank you, Jack. That was really wonderful, honey. 2 announcements. Here's our congregational news. We have 3 announcements, actually. One came in from the Social Justice Committee. First, did you know that on Saturday, June 14th, there will be 2 No Kings rallies held in Coachella Valley? Look in last Friday's newsletter for all the details, and then connect with your UUCOD friends now and make plans to join one of those rallies. Second announcement, we are beginning to plan for the November 9th Pride Parade and need your ideas for creating a new float. Please contact Denise Jansen-Eager with your ideas and suggestions. And lastly, from Social Justice, this coming Tuesday at 4 p.m., please join us here at the church for an Aqua Caliente presentation. And also, this presentation will also be live streamed. Next, the Stewardship Committee is facilitating a Zoom call on Thursday, June 12th at 10 a.m. You will find a Zoom link for staying connected in the newsletter. If If you are in your away summer home or here in the heat and wondering how your UUCOD friends are doing, come and join us. It is a great way to stay connected with your friends here at church. For questions, please see Jane Zahn. Next, as a reminder, the Dining Divas will meet Monday, June 9th at 6 p.m. at Maracas Cantina in Rancho Mirage. Please RSVP to Katie Foss at katiefoss@hotmail.com. This next one is sort of a new idea we're hoping sort of takes off. The Worship Committee, in conjunction with UUCOD's Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging Ministry, welcomes you, members and friends, to participate more directly in our Sunday services. Anyone wishing to light the chalice or buy a pot candles is welcome to do so starting at our first service in July. This is a wonderful way for others to get to know you and for you to be a part of our Sunday service. And what it also does is eliminates the fear on Sunday morning that the worship associate will tap you on the shoulder and ask you to light the candles. There is a new sign-up sheet in the lobby. Please sign up at least 2 weeks in advance. And this announcement is specifically for all our guests and visitors. If you want to learn more about us or our programming, please contact the office at admin, ADMIN, at uucod.org, or visit our website, also uucod.org. Or you can also stop by the welcome table in the lobby if you are interested in getting on our mailing list. A member of our welcome committee will be more than happy to help you. And that takes care of our congregational news this Sunday. In each breath we take, may we remember that the work of love, justice, and healing is ours to continue, both here and beyond these walls. So now, let us extinguish our chalice, and as we do so, let us say these words on the screen above. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Go forth like seeds carried by the wind, to root, to bloom, to nourish and be nourished. May our love, our lives, and our love be a garden of compassion, courage, community, and pollination.